What is something that you have purchased in the past, but have never used once since then? A gate to put at the top of stairs to keep kids from falling down them. It's either still in a box tucked away in my house or I gave it away years ago. My youngest is nearing 10. I'm the only one who has fallen down the stairs. On a trip to Chicago at about age 14 to visit the museums, my parents bought for me a telescope mirror grinding kit from the Adler Planetarium which I desperately wanted. It had all the components needed to construct a 6" mirror for a beautiful reflectoscope. I kept that kit until I was about 50 years old, moving from apartment to apartment and city to city, until I finally decided I probably just wasn't gonna make that telescope. Well, it's not good to rush into these things. A phone arm holder. I was planning on starting to run but never happened. Even if you don't run, I recommend a waist strap instead. It is a lot more manageable to me than an arm holder. Plus you can use it even outside of runs as a more concealed fanny pack of sorts. Best wishes on your fitness journey. I bought a book on methods to tackle procrastination 7 years ago. It remains unread though I'm sure the methods within are glorious. On page 1 it just says, "Congratulations, you have taken the first step towards conquering procrastination. Now just keep taking one step at a time," or some other cheesy stuff like that. Not me but my dad bought a bicycle he never used. A year-old buyer in the shop he bought it from called him and asked if he wanted it serviced, to which he agreed. Still hadn't used it. I went to his place one day and saw the bike and asked if I can borrow it. He then tells me this story and said I can have it. Thanks dad. He was probably relieved that you will use it. Not something I purchased but was gifted, a didgeridoo. I remember having to lug that thing which was bigger than me home on public transport after my birthday do. Still have it in my old bedroom at my mum's house. It's a didgeridoo. I'm a mechanic. The list is too long, but I'll tell you that if Chevy ever makes a 95-99 Monte Carlo again, I'm ready. One of my tech buddies had a rule that after he had to borrow something 3 times he would buy one. He wasn't very good at sticking to that rule though. He was the first guy I knew who had a lab scope in like 1997. When I got my job back in April after a 3-year attempt at freelancing, my first paycheck was the most exciting. I bought a banjo. I'm a city boy in the UK. I have no idea how to play instruments. To this day it stays in the corner of my room getting an occasional twang when I get a little spicy. I left a banjo in my car and forgot to lock the doors. When I came back, somebody left me another banjo in the car. I bought a drying rack for my clothes a few months ago. It's still in its box. Same with most of my Nintendo Switch games. I lost motivation to play after doing 400+ hours of Animal Crossing at the beginning of the pandemic. I use mine almost every load. Some things like elastics and knits just last longer when you don't tumble dry them. College textbooks. As a freshman you think you need them but it's a scam most of the time. Just get the PDF online tbh. I've even had professors that strongly hint at a textbook being available online and for students not to buy it. Surumene art supplies. I buy the expensive stuff then I don't feel like wasting it so it just sits there while I use my cheaper stuff. When I had my first child I got a bunch of baby stuff I never actually used. Changing table? We never actually used it. Wipe warmer? Probably the most useless. Half the baby clothes we got? Daughter grew out of them in 2 weeks. All of my friends' books unfortunately. I'm not really into romance stuff but wanted to support her. I'll never read them. They are still in the packages she shipped them in. I didn't even open them when she became a best-selling author. I imagine this is how my family will be as I'm a horror writer. Small community compared to romance. I purchased a Dungeons & Dragons starter kit, player's handbook, and a whole mess of dice because I thought it would be fun to try out with a few friends. We'll play any day now. Same here. The hard part is finding friends to play with. A sewing machine. I just don't know where to start learning. Combine that with a fear of failing and a high standard and well, here we are. My partner bought an iPhone 11 almost a year ago now and still uses her busted Holds battery for 3 hours at a time. Slow as frick iPhone 7 because she can't be bothered setting up the new one. I've stopped letting her use my phone when her battery dies because it would last all day if she just set up the new one. Moving from iPhone to iPhone, it is basically an automated process. Gas powered generator. I live in Texas. After last year's winter debacle I decided to get one. I hope I never have to use it. For safety's sake I would fire it up once a quarter, load it up with something plugged into it for an hour or so. Service at least once a year. Jump rope. I can't jump rope. I work out at the gym 4-5x a week and would like to jump rope in between sets, but I don't want to learn in front of people. Apparently I don't care to learn in my own privacy either. I can jump rope. Bought a nice one for $20. Got home. Remembered I live on the 2nd floor. Those nice blank books that you use for journaling and drawing in. I love blank books but I'm always afraid of not writing or drawing perfectly. Hence, they remain unused. I made myself stop getting them years ago. Still makes me a little sad. The trick is to start filling it up from the center, or at least a few pages in. The first page pressure is not worth stressing over when you can just avoid it entirely. I have an unopened copy of Madden 17. Bought it new in 2016 with the intent to play, but my son had just been born and we needed money, so I sold the Xbox. I kept the game, anticipating I'll have another Xbox before too long. The hard work of being a new parent and using any free time to catch up on sleep drained any desire to play video games. It remained that way until early 2021. I picked up an Xbox One back in May but I've just been playing FO4 and Skyrim. I've been meaning to install it, but because it's 5 years old I've kinda written it off. A $200 weighted blanket. Tried it out for a couple weeks. Realized I slept better without it. Now it lives under my bed. I guess I can't call it my worst purchase ever, because if I didn't try it I'd be curious if it would help me sleep, but it certainly wasn't my favorite buy. Mine was $60. I got it last Christmas and have probably used it every single night since I bought it unless I was traveling. A giant generator, as in power generator to power my home's essential stuff. Paid a lot of money for it and it's been sitting in my shed ever since. My dad was never so happy as when his city lost power for a week. He spent those days carting his generator, that he finally got to use, from neighbor to neighbor up and down the street to keep everyone's fridges cold. My roommate, who makes minimum wage and just turned 31, has about $7k in DJ equipment which he never really uses. Bought another $500 piece of equipment last night. I love this man, but sometimes I feel like he'll never grow up. You either need to help push him towards achieving his dream of being a DJ, maybe have him try and get some local gigs, or help him realize it's never going to happen. But either way, just be a good friend and be there for him. I'm a sober person but I have about 20 souvenir shot glasses I've bought from places I've traveled. They just sit in my cabinet collecting dust, yet I buy them every time I go somewhere new and touristy. Fill them all with water and take a shot every 15 minutes to maintain peak hydration. I bought a MIG welder, plasma cutter and a chop saw that I used for one job. I am an electrician but I took welding classes when was younger so I know how to use these tools, but I have never needed them again. I bought the exact same Tamagotchi I owned as a kid, was back in June. Felt like it wouldn't really be fair to my cat so I haven't used it. I have really bad ADHD so I spend lots of money on hobbies then forget about them after a week or two. I have a 20-pound block of candle wax along with $150 worth of candle making supplies in my closet. Ah, yes. And then you keep it around indefinitely because maybe I'll get into it once again. I could supply art supplies by now. There's an anthropomorphic blob in the back of my fridge that used to be a bottle of oyster sauce. Now it just eats my leftovers. The blob's hunger is never sated. I have a massive bottle of hand sanitizer I bought when the pandemic started that's been sitting unopened under my sink for the past almost 2 years. Almost 2 years really hit me. a rice cooker and a waffle iron. Both seemed like good ideas at the time, but we just don't eat enough rice or waffles to use them. They've sat in my cabinet since the day I got them. Bruh, you need some rice in your life. My passport. I kinda fell in love with this girl from Manila. I was in Dallas. TX. Online. We met once for a week in NYC. In the 2 years we had been taking. Anyway, I got a passport and a plane ticket because I really wanted to see her side of the world. Then she dumped me 2 weeks later. I still have no stamps on my passport. It's not gonna stamp itself. I bought $70 worth of funny novelty trucker hats once, like the ones the guy from 30 Rock wore. For some reason, I thought maybe I could be the funny trucker hat guy. I'm at least glad I had enough sense to never wear them. Cheese soup, deli meat and incomplete are my favorite Frank hats. When I was a teenager, I had a friend of mine who bought a darbouka. For those who don't know what that is, it's a Middle Eastern drum that you sort of hold in your lap and play like a bongo. And no, my friend is not Middle Eastern. For like a whole summer, he'd watch YouTube videos and just practice like a madman. And he became good. Like really freaking good. He would annoy the heck out of his parents and neighbors for a few months. Then he just stopped and never picked up the instrument again. A few years ago, where we're at a wedding for one of my friends who's Arab, they had a darbouka at the venue, and my friend sat down and just started freaking killing it. It was crazy. People were standing up and dancing all over the place, while my buddy, this white boy, was just absolutely destroying on stage. Then we left, and I don't think he's ever played it again, but it's a fun story. Ironing board and iron cover. I've moved 3 times and still have both GD things in their wrappers. Spouse, we need these. Me. Why? Spouse, we just do. Me. Alrighty then. I bought an expensive watch. I hate wearing watches. It sat in its box on my shelf for 8+ years. Maybe I'll wear it to a wedding or something, who knows. My sous vide cooker. Made an incredible steak with it once and haven't used it in years. Really need to break that out again. Hello fellow ADHDers with libraries full of equipment from 9,000 different hobbies that were definitely going to be the one that sticks. Hey, I only got the mushroom stuff like 3 months ago. Back off. I think I'm turning into an old man. I have a bunch of stuff, including towels, dishes, tools, etc. that are meant for display only. No one is allowed to use them. And no, it may not be thrown away. I know this is a bad trait of some people when they get older, and while I'm not old, I am very possessive of these display models that you cannot touch. I don't even want you looking at them. A hunting bow. Drew the string and realized it was so powerful I would surely hurt myself or anyone in a 150 featuring radius. Tampax tampons. I love their original recipe cardboard tube ones. They worked best for me. I got pregnant. By the time I had a need for tampons again, they had a skirt and an absorbent cord. I could feel the skirt. My vag is short, so is my urethra. Makes for uties. The skirt sweat bacteria did not help. The absorbent cord would cause the uterine refuse to wick out into my undergarments. I switched to those click small Playtex ones without all those nets and thick cords. Made a huge difference until I gave the ut the boot. Fibroids, endometriosis, cos. I always feel guilty using the plastic applicators, but those Playtex ones are the ones that work best for me. Love that you gave the ut the boot. LOL. Lots of little boxes. I buy them because I like the look of them and then just squirrel them away and never actually use them for anything. I have so many empty boxes I could open my own Amazon packing warehouse. Panini press. So many sandwiches could have been elevated, but dang if I'm going to get a step stool to get the thing down. Bought a bottle of Remy Martin Cannes Film Festival Special Edition back in 2016 that I've been too afraid of opening since. A dose of sperm that cost about $2,000. We bought 2 and only used 1. Now all we can do is throw it away. Not mad though, we got the cutest baby on the first try. I got cross-country skis for Christmas 1 year. It didn't snow for 2 years. 3rd year, I head back to college, leave them home. 4 feet of snow. 4th year over Thanksgiving. Starts to snow hard around breakfast. By nightfall there's 18 inches on the ground. I figure, crap, tomorrow morning I can finally go skiing. Warm front rolled in at 9 p.m. Temp went from 25 to 50. Woke up, no fricking snow. Got rid of the skis I never got to use. Week later, blizzard. I'm doing my part for the climate by never owning skis ever again so the snowfall keeps returning. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.